ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, May 1st. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We got a lot to get into today. Big game last night in Charleston. It's not a rivalry. Over 9,600 show up to watch Marshall defeat West Virginia 7-6, a thrilling walk-off win, capped by a Mountaineer throwing error in the ninth. The victory now gives the Herd a 6-game win streak, and Marshall avoids the series sweep against the Mountaineers. So the Thundering Herd and West Virginia look really good. That was a great game to watch last night, and I think that points to why they need to play this series every year, and it works. Game in Morgantown, game in Huntington, game in Charleston. It works. People were interested. I don't know why you can't get together and do more of these games. But despite what a lot of people say, this is not Marshall's Super Bowl. And I thought Marshall was competitive in Huntington as well. The one in Morgantown got away from Marshall. But other than that, Marshall was able to be competitive, and I know I've seen some of the excuses already. Trust me, I've seen the excuses. Oh, this was a midweek game. It doesn't really matter. You could go on and on and on about that. It's a game. You play to win. Thundering Herd got the win. Now, what's that mean for Marshall long term? Well, Marshall still got to get it done in conference, and the Thundering Herd's got to win, try to get into the tournament. You got to be competitive in your conference. You got to be able to get into the tournament. These are the important things I think fans really care about, not necessarily a big win over an opponent like WVU. You have to have some of those. But you can live with this big win and not get into the postseason. Or you can get this program to the point where it's competing for conference championships. I think that's what fans want to see. So this is a good step. This is a good step for the Thundering Herd. Marshall's had some success over ranked opponents this season. So you got to start stacking some more wins together. So good job from the Thundering Herd yesterday. Great crowd, energetic. Of course, it favored WVU, as it would in Charleston. Outside of Huntington, of course, it's always going to be a fight for fandom. But I thought the Herd well represented in that one yesterday. So that's exciting. The Thundering Herd now need to get it done as it travels to Hampton, Virginia. 3-game Sun Belt Series against Old Dominion. That's starting Friday at 6 o'clock. And that's going to be played at War Memorial Stadium due to ongoing construction at ODU's ballpark. So the Thundering Herd needs to get it done on the road if it has any shot of postseason. So we'll talk more baseball with you. Were you in Charleston yesterday? What was it like for you? Did you feel the excitement? I think it showed well. It looked good. You watched the game on ESPN Plus yesterday, and the crowd was there. Crowd was into it. Really a great showcase for baseball. And I don't think I've seen that many fans in the ballpark for a while. I haven't been to a Dirty Birds game. Since the name switch, I haven't had a chance to get up to Charleston. So I haven't seen the ballpark filled in a long time. It looked good. That was a great crowd. Hopefully we can get those big crowds in Huntington and Morgantown, and the two athletic directors, Ren Baker and whomever the new athletic director is going to be for Marshall, can keep this thing going. It was interesting. I was watching a little of the social media posts coming across my feed last night, and there was a great shot of Brad Smith. He was taking it all in, and you saw Brad Smith, you saw Ren Baker. You did not see Christian Spears. And again, we'll get into that because obviously as Christian no longer will be the athletic director after a new athletic director is hired or his contract expires at the end of its term, he is in effect a lame duck athletic director. You don't want your athletic director whose contract you're not going to be renewing making too many big swings. This is one of those deals where it's not I'm retiring, I'm handing it over to someone else. This is we've agreed to not renew the contract mutually. So we're parting ways, and you don't want your athletic director that is parting ways with you making big swings. So what's his role going to be in the next few months as the search is on for a new athletic director? So we'll get all your thoughts in this hour. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line. It is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, and we'll open that up for you here in a few minutes. We've got some softball news to get into, and of course, with the weather being what it is, it's cold 1 minute, it's hot the next, it's raining a few hours after that. Softball is adjusting its schedule. So due to weather, softball is going to play a doubleheader versus Georgia State tomorrow. That'll begin at 2 o'clock. Now, the season opener remains, unless we get a word something's delayed. It's starting now at the dot. Of course, Senior Day is going to be held 30 minutes before Game 1 on Friday. So they'll do Senior Day first to get the series going on Day 2. The Emily Cooper Warrior Award ceremony, that time's still to be determined. So just shaking it up a little bit. So no Saturday softball at the dot. Let's start getting your text in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 as we get really going for today's show. A couple of people already texted in and said, first up, Paul, this is not a rivalry. Ignore those 10,000 people that showed up. This is not a rivalry. Appreciate that. I mean, yeah, they were just there to see some good baseball, right? Not a rivalry. No. Not a rivalry whatsoever. Now, here's the thing. If West Virginia went to Charleston and played a different opponent, would that game sell out? Probably. If Marshall went to Charleston and played a different opponent, would that game sell out? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. Would that game sell out? And of course, Marshall's played games before in Charleston, as for the longest time, it was the conference home for the Thundering Herd. Now, of course, Marshall has its own facility. It doesn't have to do that anymore. So the game against West Virginia is sort of a one-off chance to be in front of the fans in Charleston, get to play WVU, the neutral location. There were a lot of people in blue and gold there last night, and there were a lot of people in green. So that was a really good game. I don't think we can stress that enough. We got 2 really good games and then 1 blowout. I'll take that. And, of course, as good as this game is and as good as it feels to get this win, yeah, and I'm happy the Herd got it. Time to focus now on Old Dominion. You got to start winning some games. The Herd 2 games over 500 now at 24-22, 9-12 in Sun Belt play, taking on an Old Dominion team that is 15-25, but 10-11 in league play. Got a chance here. If Marshall can play good baseball, it's got a chance to beat Old Dominion. Can Marshall sweep the series? That's going to be an interesting question to answer. Bryce Blevins set to pitch on Friday. Griffin Miller is going to be set for Saturday, and then Clint Moak is going to be on the mound for Sunday. So the Thundering Herd has a shot here, could win this series. And if that's the case, Marshall would then be 12-12, or if you lose one but still win the series, you can be 11-13 in Sun Belt play. You have some time. Texter says, Paul, the only way a WVU game sells out there if they're ranked. Appreciate the thought. Is that the case, really? I would think that the Mountaineer fans in Charleston that maybe don't have a chance to head up to Morgantown would want to see a one-off game there. That's just my thoughts. I mean, they've been pretty good in baseball over the last few years, but if they're not ranked, does that game attract as many fans? It probably would mean that it's a midweek series probably, or a midweek game. You're not going to get a series there. But you're playing a midweek game. Maybe it's a good opponent. Maybe maybe it's Pitt, maybe it's Virginia Tech, bring someone in that you kind of have a history with or a rivalry with or a perceived rivalry with. Yeah, same thing with Marshall. Could Marshall go into Charleston on its own, just a standalone game without WVU? And could Marshall bring in a really good opponent and have a great crowd? Also from the text line, texter says, basketball or football game in Charleston would sell out. A baseball game without them being really good, I don't think so. I appreciate that text as well. So what do you think? What do you think on this? Is this something that it's nice to have those two schools meet in Charleston, but at least from Marshall's standpoint, and I'm not going to speak for WVU, from Marshall's standpoint, it's got to be a really special game to play it without WVU in Charleston. It's got to make sense, and obviously, with Marshall having a new ballpark, opportunity to go to Charleston now and then is all right, but I wouldn't want to do it too many times. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive. It's brought to you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
At home or at work, in the car or at the gym, there's nothing more convenient than the fast service and the quality products brought to you by Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee. If you're always on the go with family, friends, coworkers, and business associates, give Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee a chance. They have everything that you need, from filtration coolers, coffee for your work, at-home delivery, and 8-ounce, 10-ounce, and half-liter bottles, or by the pallet. Tyler Mountain Water and Coffee, where great taste just comes naturally. Visit us at tylermountainwater.com.
Saving money on your outdoor project now at Menards. We have everything you need to keep your outdoor power equipment running smooth, so you can keep that lawn in tip-top shape or enjoy some time on your boat. Right now, all FVP lawn and garden and marine batteries are on sale. Check out our entire selection of FVP batteries today and view our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals.
Save big money at Menards.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at Hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. That's Hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay, Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll continue on with this Thursday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Thanks for being a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So we're all celebrating the high of Marshall knocking off West Virginia yesterday in Charleston, putting a little dent into their momentum. Thundering Herd hopefully now can take its momentum and go after that series against Old Dominion. Of course, we've got softball getting set for its game. It's starting about right now. And tomorrow going to be playing a doubleheader starting at 2 o'clock. So, we're running out of dates. We're almost done with softball and we're almost done with baseball. So after that, we're going to be in that situation where, we're just going to be following along, seeing what the recruiting news looks like, what the football reports are going to be. Does the Herd sign anyone else? What's basketball going to be looking like? So we're in that portion of the schedule. And of course, we'll be deep into baseball as well. Speaking of baseball, Cubs beat the Pirates earlier today right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Was an 8-3 victory for the Cubs. Now, yesterday, a little bit more of a somber note as the fan that fell from the Clemente wall in right field at PNC Park still in critical condition. If you're not that familiar with the story, authorities say that the fall, which occurred during the game yesterday, is being treated as an accident. Witnesses say that the man appeared to fall while celebrating a go-ahead 2-run single by Andrew McCutchen, and there's probably not going to be too much comment from the Pirates. I know that the Pirates played the game today and had some words to say about this situation, and so fan safety is always going to be a concern. You have to put yourself in the best position possible to keep everyone safe, but sometimes you can't prevent things that are preventable, especially when you have fans that are they're in a mood. Sometimes fans get too excited, and I'm not trying to assign blame here, but sometimes these things are preventable. But with that said, it's still very sad and very somber. But hopefully we'll hear more on the positive side. McCutchen and the Pirates expressed a lot of concern and support for the fans' recovery, and hopefully that fan can get back to the ballpark here soon. Of course, the Pirates not getting it done today against the Cubbies, kind of a tough one today. Giving up 3 home runs. I watched a little bit of it and did not look good. Back at it coming up. We'll have it for you tomorrow right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Okay, let's get back to our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter says, Paul, the basketball series should be the next series that starts back. Football's not going to start back anytime soon, but there's no reason why we couldn't play the basketball series again. And I agree with that. Thank you for the text. I think I want to see that basketball series, though, change just a little bit. I don't know if I want it right in the middle of conference season. I know the reason for that, you were putting it right in the middle of the legislative session. You were putting it right there where lawmakers can come and watch the game, and a lot of them root on their Mountaineers, and the small amount that are Marshall grads or fans, root on the Thundering Herd. Always felt like it was a 60-40, sometimes a 70-30 split. I mean, it was a great atmosphere, but still, I want to see that played. If you're going to do it, play it before conference season begins. That would be the one thing that I would ask for. Stop playing it in the middle conference. Once you get into conference, your focus is different. You want to win conference. And then you got to stop what you're doing in conference. You got to go play this one-off. And you put a lot of energy into it. And if you win, you're going to be an emotional high if you're Marshall. If you lose, you're going to be an emotional low. I can't speak for WVU because as far as their fans are concerned, don't care about this game. Means nothing. Supposed to beat them. If you win, yeah, we're supposed to win. If you lose, you're mad because you didn't lose to a rival. You lost to Marshall. They're not that good. That seems to be the coach speak I hear, or at least the chatter I hear from the fans on that one. And whatever the case may be, I don't like that game in the middle of conference. Baseball's different because you're going to have games in the middle of the week. That's something that you can get away with. This series, it's not going to do anything to harm WVU in the long run. It's a midweek series. This series isn't going to propel Marshall to the postseason, but it can provide a boost. There is some momentum, and I thought that the game that Marshall played against West Virginia last time provided sort of you can play competitive baseball. There's no excuse why you can't. And you almost had that win. I mean, here's a situation where Marshall almost had the series. Excuse the first game. Second game here in Huntington, that was winnable. Lapse of judgment, and WVU wins. Here, same situation. Poor throw. Marshall takes advantage, wins the game. But it was that tight. Both those games in Huntington and Charleston were really tight. Could have went either way yesterday, and it could have went for Marshall when the two teams played in Huntington. Again, the only one you really look at is that West Virginia game. And I think Marshall learned just a little bit from that. I like Beals. I think he's doing a fine job right now. Still has some work to do, but this is a baseball program that I believe, even though you can say transfer portal all you want, you're starting to build this almost from scratch. Transfer portal works if you've got the NIL money to make it work instantly. If not, you're trying to put together pieces to build a good team. You can go out if you're a school with a lot of money and NIL, and you can put yourself together a really good team that can contend right away. If you're a team like Marshall, you got to go out there and you got to be smart, and you got to put a team together with the best pieces you can get and hope that it works. And you can get lucky and you can improve yourself, but I don't put too much into, well, all you have to do is go to the portal and you can turn this around right away. And there are a lot of things you got to do to sell a kid to come to Huntington, to come to Marshall. And NIL money is not going to get it done in Huntington. Not at this point right now. 304-396-TALK is our text line, 304-396-8255. We'll get your thoughts when we continue. Brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This Mother's Day, celebrate Mom with a brunch buffet she'll never forget at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Enjoy a delicious spread featuring filet tenderloin, deviled crab, applewood smoked ham, scrambled eggs, sausage, bacon, cinnamon roll, French toast, eggs Benedict casserole, and country fried potatoes. Plus, fresh fruit, desserts, and more for just $29.99 for adults. Available Mother's Day, Sunday, May 11th from 11 to 3. Make Mom's Day special at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, 3rd Avenue, Huntington, across from Pullman Square.
Big flavors, big savings, and top-notch quality only at Food Fair. Food Fair is excited to announce 3 new signature brands. Food Club brings families together with delicious, high-quality meals without the name brand price. Craven Flavors satisfies your cravings with bold, mouth-watering snacks, pizzas, and sweet treats. And Simply Done makes life easier with household essentials that get the job done right. Visit Food Fair today and enjoy the quality and savings in every aisle. Foodfairmarkets.com.
Truck accident? Tom Boggs is here for you in Huntington, and he's brought the expertise of Warner Law Offices with him.
Call 345-6789.
Hi, I'm Nori, and over the years, my mother and I have opened our homes to those who need it most, and it's been so rewarding. I bet you didn't know that some adults who have unfortunately been mistreated need a place to call home in West Virginia. It happens more than you know. They may have some physical or mental limitations, and they need your help. Everyone deserves a place to call their own. I can tell you from my experience, it's worth it.
If you have an open heart and want to open your home, Adult Family Care may be the right fit for you. Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an Adult Family Care Home Finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-963-6655. That's 800-963-6655. Again, 800-963-6655.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Our text line this hour is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're keeping an eye on Marshall softball. Got underway about 30 minutes ago, and the Thundering Herd in Georgia State now in the bottom of the second, no score. And don't forget, if you're going to softball tomorrow, doubleheader. The series will begin on Friday at 2 p.m. with the second game to follow. There will not be a Saturday game due to weather projections, so they're playing this series today and tomorrow. Senior Day is going to be held 30 minutes prior to Game 1 on Friday, so get there before 1:30 if you can, if you want to be a part of it. Also, the Emily Cooper Award ceremony is going to be, that's still to be determined, and so we'll find out more about that hopefully tomorrow. We'll keep you updated on our social media accounts, and of course, we'll have the results here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I alluded to the fact that, we're going to get to that point now where sports are going to be over for the Marshall Thundering Herd. We're just going to be in that speculation portion of the season. Just trying to figure out what the Herd's going to look like, who's going to come in late, last-minute transfer portal. And basketball continues to be interesting. I'm trying to keep track of all of this, and Marshall could be a landing spot for Purdue Fort Wayne transfer Chandler Cuthrell, 6'8", 225-pound forward. He is someone you want to start keeping an eye on. He has already visited Elon, and he's got visits planned for Marshall and for Green Bay. And there are some other schools that are also interested in him. Temple I've seen, Memphis, a few. I won't go over the complete list, but there are a few that are actually interested in. He played 19 minutes per game last season for Purdue Fort Wayne, averaged 7.4 points and 5.8 rebounds a game, shot 47% from the field, and he's someone that is really, I think, can make an immediate impact with depth, and he's got some experience in the front court. His size could help as well. So with him being on the watch list, I think this could be a good get for Coach Jackson. And we talked about Coach Jackson yesterday. Made that CBS Sports list as one of the best year one coaches in basketball. I don't know if there's an award for year two, but I've got a feeling year two is going to be better than year one. And that's going to be interesting because you're going to have a new athletic director, and you're going to have a coach that will have a couple years on his contract. New athletic director, you come in, you take the job over, you look at Coach Jackson and you go, okay, hey, let's extend this now, or do you wait this thing out? That's going to be some of the interesting things that could happen. New athletic director is going to do the same thing that Christian Spears did, come in and start assessing hires. How many coaches will get the nod? Okay, we're going to keep you. Or how many coaches could you look at and go, well, you're not getting it done? Volleyball's relatively safe right now with a new hire. I think corny's safe. I think you don't touch football right now. No reason to. So if I'm volleyball, if I'm basketball, if I'm football, I don't worry about this. I'm going to go out and do what I need to do, show why I'm here. And Corny has another good year. It's a no-brainer. You renew his contract. Now you look at women's basketball. Okay, what can you do there? Make it better. Didn't get the desired result you got in year one with Kim Caldwell. And so Julie Fulks, I will say this, had an interesting finish, though, with the new format of the Sun Belt Tournament. Made a serious run. It just got to the point where it caught up with the herd. But that team started to look good down the stretch. So I don't think you worry as much there. So what happens personnel-wise when you bring in a new athletic director? And it depends on the athletic director. And the only name, again, that has come up in any conversation I've had, and more of a wish list than a confirmation that, oh, he's the guy, is Jeff O'Malley. But other than that, it really depends on who's the athletic director coming in. How many people are they going to want to bring in? Because as you saw, when Christian Spears took over, started to phase people out and transition his own people in. I lost count of how many people came and went in that transition period. So is that going to be similar as well? Do you have a new athletic director comes in and goes, okay, we got to make some changes here. You're a Christian Spears guy. You're a Christian Spears woman. You're a Christian Spears guy. Okay, we're going to transition you out. I'm going to bring in my people. Or do you have someone that comes in and goes, okay, until warranted, everybody's got a job? Those are going to be some of the questions. And to be honest, some of these people aren't with us anymore in the athletic department. But there were some people that were really frightened for their jobs, that were concerned that new athletic director comes in, going to start cutting people, going to start making changes. And so here we are again. You're in that transition phase where you might have a new athletic director come in and say, all right, everybody's safe, and start phasing people out as need be, or everybody is going to be evaluated and we'll move forward, or it could be somewhere in between. So I don't know what the temperature of the room's going to be when the new athletic director is announced. Is that person going to be someone that will clean house and we'll have another house cleaning? Or is that someone that's going to come in and try to build on the foundation of what's there? And is that a preferable structure to kind of hang on to? We've got people in place. You come in and you build upon, not, hey, we really need to change this place. Because that didn't go well with a lot of people. And I'm not saying that every hire or fire or departure was wrong or right, but it didn't sit well with a lot of people. What's the new transition going to look like with the new athletic director? This is still the most important hire at the moment in athletics for Brad Smith. It's not football. It's not basketball. It's the athletic director. This is going to set the tone for the rest of the athletic department. And so as much as I would like to say, well, you got your guy, he's at Lamar, go get him. It's not that easy. And so I'm hoping that we get a full search committee with Brad as the guy in charge, as the head of this thing, as the president who's been here a few years. He's the guy now that has the opportunity to really make a transformational hire. I hate using buzzwords, but here we go. Transitional, transformational, transformative. You can throw in your buzzword as well. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Final segment coming up on this edition of The Drive. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Create the yard of your dreams with help from Menards. We carry a huge selection of garden supplies to bring your backyard oasis to life. Achieve a lush green lawn with Schultz grass seed mixture. It's great for seeding new lawns and covers up to 13,000 square feet. Get a 20-pound bag of Schultz Hardy or Sun and Shade Mix now on sale. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
If it wasn't for Lawrence County DD, where would Alan go if his father and I weren't around? What would happen to him? Nobody would take care of him.
Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities provides vital services for individuals with special needs and their families, offering care and peace of mind every step of the way. Learn more about the difference Lawrence County Developmental Disabilities makes for our community at lawrencecountydd.org.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Cool. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Final segment for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. It's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got a scoreboard update first with Marshall softball. The Thundering Herd taking on Georgia State. Right now, we're in top of the third, and Georgia State leads Marshall 2-0. So hopefully the Herd can pick it up on the offensive side. Also, Major League Baseball earlier today, it was the Cubs beating the Pirates 8-3. Reds got the win over the Cardinals 9-1. The Diamondbacks beat the Mets 4-2. Royals beat the Rays 8-2. Brewers got hammered by the White Sox 8-0, and then the Athletics got the win over the Rangers 3-0. Rain delay in the top of the eighth right now, and it's tied between the Twins and the Guardians. 2 runs apiece there. Coming up later tonight, it's going to be the Nationals and the Phillies. Red Sox taking on the Blue Jays and the Tigers. They'll be taking on the Angels, and then to wrap it all up in the evening, it'll be the Rockies and the Giants. And don't forget, we're going to have Pirates baseball coming up for you tomorrow. It'll be a 6:15 airtime. We'll have it for you, taking on the Padres right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. That game's going to be on Apple TV as well, so if you want to actually keep up with it, and if you don't have Apple TV, we got you covered. Just lock your radios right here. You can just pick it up at 5 o'clock, listen all the way to the baseball game here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour, always brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter says, Paul, I'm grateful that the Herd beat the Mountaineers, but it really doesn't matter if Marshall can't win in the Sun Belt. Appreciate the text. That's a good thought. We talked about that earlier. This is a good win to have, but if Marshall can't get it done in Sun Belt play, all this is a nice win for the Thundering Herd. At the end of the day, you want to get this program to the point where it's competing in the tournament, and then it's able to go further. I mean, that's your first goal right there. You want to win the Sun Belt, either the regular season and then have some momentum going into the tournament, or have some momentum going into the tournament and win that. You want to win them both. If you're Chris Grassi, the philosophy is win them both. Loves the regular season, wants to win them both. But with baseball right now, still a rebuild. It's in a good spot right now. You're on a 6-game win streak. You're 17-7 at home. Keep that in mind. You're 17-7 at home. You're 6-15 on the road, so you got to improve that. 9-12 in conference. And let's just be upfront with each other. 4 of those games were in Hawaii. And you won a game at Georgia Tech. Okay, that's good. Actually, you won 2 at Georgia Tech. Just to remind myself there, you also were able to pick up some solid wins in conference. You didn't win the Arkansas State series, but you picked up a win in that series. You picked up a win against James Madison. You, unfortunately, lost 2 out of 3 to Troy, but you did get a win, and Troy was ranked. You got a win in the series against 13th ranked Southern Miss. You got 2 of those, actually. And then, of course, you got a win against App State. Didn't win the series. You lost a close one against WVU at home. That didn't translate to instant success because you had a tough time with number 21 Coastal Carolina. But then after that, started to pick up some momentum. And here we are. Win against Morehead State. It was a home and home. Got the series win. Swept South Alabama. Got the win against West Virginia. And so now you're on the road at Old Dominion. You're on the road at Georgia State. And then you wrap it up with Georgia Southern. And right in the middle of that, you've got a game in Blacksburg with Virginia Tech. So the next time the Herd's going to be home is going to be May 15th. Tough stretch here. You have 7 straight on the road, and then you wrap it up at home with Georgia Southern. Marshall's going to have to start doing some amazing work. I guess the best way I'm trying to say this is Marshall's going to have to start stringing some wins together, more so, just because you want to get yourself in the tournament. What does Marshall have to do to get itself in a position? Because right now, Marshall's 9-12, and Marshall is 5th from the bottom, 10th right now. 10th in league standings. If you can get to 10 or better, because the tournament's coming up on May 20th, so you can be 10 or better, you're in. Can Marshall stay at 10 or better to get in? I think it can happen. I think that it can happen, and that's just not me speaking as I know the audience, but you got to stay ahead of Texas State. You got to stay ahead of ULM and South Alabama. I don't know if James Madison, is going to be much of a threat. They're 6-15 right now. But Coastal Carolina is 17-4. Southern Miss is 15-6. Troy's 14-7. Louisiana's 12-9. Okay, and the reason why I highlight those 4 teams is those 4 teams are good. But the 3 top teams are Coastal Carolina, Southern Miss, and Troy. Louisiana just has a better conference record, 22-24 overall. Marshall has a better overall percentage than Louisiana. Marshall's right there with Arkansas State overall percentage. Marshall has a better overall percentage than App State. And Marshall has an overall better percentage than Old Dominion. Marshall's at 522. Overall, Marshall's better than some of these teams conference-wise. Louisiana's 12-9, number 4. Marshall is in the 10 spot, 9-12. 3-game difference here. That's it. I know I'm doing funny math here to try to justify my thought process. But I think Marshall, if Marshall can beat Old Dominion, Marshall's going to jump up. And then if Marshall can win against Georgia State, now that's going to be doable. Right now, Marshall and Georgia State are 9-12. That's doable. It comes down to Marshall and Georgia Southern. Marshall and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is 10-11. It's possible. This is a good league. It's possible that Marshall can hold itself and possibly gain some ground here and improve its overall and its conference record to the point where it's not playing from the bottom up. Does that make sense to you? Because that's where we're at right now. Because if you look at the bracket, it's single elimination on Tuesday, May 20th. 7 seed takes on the 10 seed. The 8 seed takes on the 9 seed. And then on Wednesday, May 21st, is when we get going with the 3 and the 6, the 2 and the TBD slot, the 1 in the TBD slot, and the 4 and the 5 slot. So you got a loser game and you got a winner game at this point. If Marshall can get past day 1, all Marshall's got to do is either be 10 or better and then get going. Positive here. Positive. We're done for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Have a great night, everyone.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.